Hello and welcome to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb, and today I really am massively excited to be heading over to Beijing in China to meet with Kevin Lee. Kevin is the Deputy General Manager of the Event Management Center at Wisdom Sports Group. Hi Kevin, great to see you. How are you?
Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you too. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here to this show.
Thanks for making the time, Kevin. I think there will be many people that are going to be fascinated to hear about the industry in China. I know it's grown hugely in recent years, and Wisdom Sports, one of the biggest organizers of marathons, and we'll hear more about your portfolio. But perhaps you can just start by telling us a little bit about your story, please.
Well, my name is Kevin. I'm from China and based in Beijing, the capital of China. And I'm from Wisdom Sports Group. We are one of the leading organizer of marathons here in China. Before Wisdom Sports Group, I work in the motorsports business. And right now, between 20 and 30 marathons per year, we are organizing here in China. Yeah.
Well, 20 to 30 marathons, that's a pretty significant portfolio. And we were talking before we started coming on air that it's been challenging times. Obviously, a lot of those postponed, cancelled. I'd love you to just share with us a little bit about what's life been like in Beijing and China generally during this COVID period, please.
Yeah, the situation here in Beijing about the COVID-19, in fact, it gets worse since the last week. There have been about 150 new infected cases found in the last week. And we are now back to a lockdown condition here in many communities here in the city. So, yeah, and like since general, we don't have mass participation events here in whole China. Of course, no marathons. Although in the end of March, there was one fun run with 1,000 runners in the west of China, and we thought that would be a sign for open for mass participation events, but unfortunately. It was stopped by the Chinese government and the Sports Bureau of China, and until now, still it's not allowed to organize marathons or other road race events here.
Yes, I remember people around the world watching that with interest and getting excited that there was this event of 1,000 people in China that might give some indications of being able to stage events in other parts of the world. But as you say, not to be. And many months later, we're still in most parts of the world waiting for things to resume.
Yeah, and life, between April and May, it's getting better. And we were able to go out on the street to have dinner with friends in a restaurant, go to a shopping mall. But like I just said, since last week, everything changed. So we are back to the situation that we must be very careful again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real shame, isn't it? And I guess, it presents new challenges. You've obviously been through a lot of challenges over the last few months, and I'd love to hear from you what some of those challenges are. Have you had to lay staff off? What's it been like in the business during these times of the lockdown and shutdown, please, Kevin?
Well, for this business-wise, the biggest challenge, of course, is to be alive, to keep the company alive. As you know, in the last 6 months, no events. That means no income, but we have to pay some fees to keep the company running. And in order to keep us alive, we have to, farewell with our staffs. We have said goodbye to about 30 to 40% of our ex-colleagues, and yeah, it's sad, but it must be done. Yeah, and everybody understands that, and they all look forward to coming back, of course, when this disaster is over. Yeah, and that's the biggest challenge. And of course, to we also have kept contact with our customers, so the runners, and we have keeping communication with each other, because everybody is waiting, everybody is keen to run again in an event or in a competition. And yeah, we are all waiting for the signal from our government for a green light. Yeah.
Gee, laying off 30 to 40% of your team, that must have been tough. But I guess, unfortunately, it's a scenario that's been repeated all over the world. And I guess, as you also mentioned, key to be continuing to communicate with your customers. I think I've said from the very beginning of this that the organizations that are able to communicate the best with their teams are the ones that I think are going to come out of this best up. And great to hear that your runners are keen to come back, which I think, again, is a case from all over the world. Obviously, leadership in these times has been absolutely crucial, and I'm sure there must have had to be strong company leadership in a situation where you're letting 30 to 40% of your staff go. I'd be interested to hear, are there any people that you follow that have guided you from a leadership perspective? Are there any particular strategies that you've employed as a leader in these difficult times, Kevin?
Yeah, leadership is very important in such a situation, a global situation here. And yeah, my boss is our chair lady of the group. She's a real leader, and so in the beginning of this COVID-19, so it was like so in China it was like in the end of January that we heard about this bad news, and our chair lady announced immediately to us that this can't be over in a short time, so it will be a long-term fight. So she has told us to be prepared, and we followed her order, and we were trying to do something different other than organizing events like before. For example, we have tried the virtual run. We tried to work with some trainers to develop some training programs online for our customers, and we have tried to do something together with our sponsors to do something online, and of course we try to sell something related to running business in our website and in our social medias. Yeah, that's what we try to do, and it won't be done without her leadership, of course. Yeah.
That must have been comforting to have a leader who was able to, I guess, see ahead and recognize that it was going to be a challenge that wasn't going to be over in a quick time, and be able to put the guidance in place. And I guess great to be able to have pivoted as many people in the industry across the world. No surprise to hear that much of it's been in the virtual space, and lots of virtual events, but you taking it further, obviously a big group of people. When you have a portfolio that big of events, opportunities to sell things to people, so congratulations on that. As always, I like to end on the aid station with something inspirational. I'd love to hear if you've got an inspirational story, maybe something you've seen at one of your events, or something that's maybe happened during COVID-19. Have you got something to share with us, please, Kevin?
Yeah, there are so many inspiring stories, and if you ask, so many stories in front of me. I just can't tell one at the moment. Yeah. Everyone here in China in the last few months, and I also believe that globally, so it cannot be forgotten for life, these few months for everybody. Yes, and there must be many inspiring stories for everybody in the last few months. Yeah, to tell our kids, to tell our children in the future, to carry on. Yeah.
Yes, there's no doubt that we'll talk about the COVID-19 period for years to come, and I guess kids will it'll have an impact on their life in different ways. Hopefully, more positive than negative, but certainly I'd see that this great role that mass participation is going to play in terms of people getting back and getting active, and I feel certain that this massive growth that we've seen in China will continue, and hopefully to see you back. I'd love to get the opportunity to meet you one day and hear more of the wisdom story and your continued growth. Thank you again so much for making time. I really look forward to following your growth and to meeting you, as I say, in person one day. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thanks so much, Kevin. Bye-bye. Bye.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Chris. Wish you good health and best luck. Thank you. Goodbye.